Professors are ancient. Professors are not really creative. They've been teaching the same things for years after years. Even if you want to cheat, you need to know what you are going to cheat at. You actually don't really need to read all of these sources. I'm going to tell you tricks, important ways that you can actually pull out the right information that you need. AI tutors here, I should say something which has been really frustrating me for the last couple of months. So a couple of weeks ago, I saw a friend's Instagram story, and she posted this Instagram story of a piece of code from a computer assignment. I have completed that assignment 4 years ago, and they have been reusing and repurposing the same assignment for other students and for any other students that's coming in. Like, it's still so bothering me, so pissing me off that the universities and the colleges are teaching students the same prehistoric assignments, the same modules, the same concepts over and over again. They're just rinsing and repeating, and they're just extracting so much money from those students. And in return, the students are not getting much value out of it. And here's what's happening. If you're a computer science student, and if you think you're going to have like a $60,000, $70,000 salary per year after you graduate, you're delusional, dude. Or dudette, whoever it is. You guys are delusional. With the latest and greatest inception of AI into our society and into our daily lives, companies don't need programmers or coders. Just look at the job postings. Companies and organizations need people who knows how to use AI technologies. The rate at which AI is taking over. Just look at Google's latest. They just announced that most of their code these days are completed by Gemini, their AI model. What I'm trying to say is that schools are prehistoric. Coming from a student who's finishing up his graduation, schools are so prehistoric. The fact that schools are not really teaching you anything new, because the way that at which the industries that are advancing, I just really don't understand how come schools are still teaching you the same old concepts. I get that. Those are like the fundamental concepts now, but even those fundamental concepts don't come in hand. I'm like, have you looked at all the jobs that people have been applying to? If you look at the job trends these days, companies and organizations are looking to hire people who knows how to use generative AI technologies to generate codes, to generate artworks, to generate copy and all those things. So people actually need prompt engineers. What I'm trying to say is that, I get so like really passionate about these sort of topic because it just the whole educational system feels like a scam, and the fact that schools are teaching you the same shit over and over again. Let's talk a little bit about writing. I knew nothing about writing, but I have helped so many students, close to 30 to 40 students I have consulted, and I have taught them how to write, help them with their writing assignments. I'm not a writer. My background is not writing. I'm not from arts. My background is computer science, but I work professionally in an artistic field, in a creative field. Writing became a side hustle for me. And I taught them how to write, not because I'm a good writer, but I have taught them how to write using AI. Is it a revelation? No, but I was just able to monetize AI and basically sell the writing as a service to students. So in that way, students know better how to write. They can write faster paper. They can write better papers. It's just easier for students. It has been more than a year that ChatGPT was released, or generative AI, and generative AI technology massively is growing at an exponential rate. Still to this day, professors are handing out writing assignments to students, the same writing assignments that they used to hand out 20 years ago. Do you understand? It's the same shit. Students are being fed, they're being handed out the same kind of writing assignments by the professors still to this day during the age of generative AI. Okay? It's the same kind of thing about how to write a thesis statement. You're going to add a thesis statement in your introduction paragraph. And then you state your points in paragraph 1, and then you write about it and whatnot. The whole thing is still ancient. Students actually are still doing the same prehistoric tasks. Here's what I think should happen. University curriculums need to change. University curriculums need to include generative AI technologies. They need to teach students how to use generative AI technologies. For example, it could be ChatGPT. ChatGPT, for example, how to use ChatGPT to write better papers. Because I get so passionate about talking about these sorts of things. So what professors are doing, instead of actually integrating the AI technologies in classrooms or in their curriculum, what they're doing, they're like, you know what? We actually don't want students to use generative AI technology or these new technologies. We actually want them to learn it by themselves, to figure out all of those things by themselves and express and be able to write in their own words. It's like, look, it does not matter whether they learn it by themselves or not, because you're teaching them outdated things. If you're teaching them the outdated things, they're going to learn the wrong things. And I think universities need to teach students how to use these generative AI technologies in writing better papers. Here's what I think professors are doing wrong. What professors are doing wrong, they're still teaching students the same old concepts. It's like, no, what they should actually teach them is how to organize ideas. Because the writing part is easy. It's less about creation, more about editorial work. That's what I'm trying to say. It's more about editorial work, because after I have helped close to 40 students with their writing papers, with their research papers, with their bibliographies, here's what I figured out. Listen to me, it's important. What I figured out, that it's less to do about creation, but more to do about the editorial process. So what professors think, you know what, we actually don't want students to be able to use these technologies, so we're going to make it way more difficult. We're going to add in so many sources from various different places. We want to add textbooks, we want to add class notes, we want them to add in other scholarly papers, or maybe there could be a video source or whatever. Like, no, you know what? One scholarly paper is not going to do it. We want them to include 5 scholarly papers in their assignment. And they think, well, if we allow students to add in all of these informations, what students are going to do, they're going to go and read all of those sources and pull out information by themselves when they write their own research paper. Because, that's like the most logical thing that they can think of, because, professors are ancient. Professors are not really creative. They're just like, they've been doing the same tasks. They've been teaching the same things for years after years. They're just trying to make it hard and difficult. Now, what they think is that, hey, we're making it difficult for students by requiring students to add in more scholarly sources. Then that means students will actually spend the time in finding those sources. They're going to read and actually write it by themselves. With the introduction of AI, if you know how to actually and properly use AI, you actually don't really need to read all of these sources. You actually don't need to know what information are in any of these sources. After helping out close to 40 different students with their academic papers, I have found a way that you could actually cheat the system. But hey, I've tutored them. It was just tutoring. After I've tutored students in writing their papers, because I'm not a writer by profession, academic writing is not really my background. But what I am proficient at is that I know how to use these AI tools. And if you're thinking, if his background is not writing, if he's not good at writing papers, how the did you help students? Let's say you're hiring an 18-year-old teenager to run your social media. An 18-year-old teenager is probably going to do a better job handling or running social media marketing, because what they do throughout most of their time is stay in social media. So they'll probably have better ideas in coming up with content, social media contents, than someone, let's say, who's a 40-year-old trying to figure out how to do social media marketing. So the reason I was able to be good at tutoring students and helping them with their writing assignments or academic papers, it's not because I'm a good writer and I'm not. It's because I know how to use these AI tools. I have used these AI tools so many times for so many different assignments. I know how these work. I'm going to be explaining my process of how I have helped students write their research papers. So if you're a student who needs to write research papers, or if you're writing any sort of academic papers, this video might help. What I will be teaching you about how to use AI tools in order to write better academic papers. They think it's academic dishonesty or plagiarism if you use those tools, but it's not, because what professors are asking you to basically go into those sources, find information from those sources to back up your claim. Do you understand? The first thing is, there is a topic. You probably have your own argument for a topic. And in order to back up your argument, you would need to go and look for various different academic, reliable sources and pull information from there in order to back up your claim. That's what it is. Wow, I should be a professor. So the old school method is you read all the papers or the summary of the papers and you go and try to find information from academic papers. But we can actually cut down the time that it takes for you to go and look and find information for those papers. I'm going to tell you tricks. I'm going to give you some massive important ways that you can actually pull out the right information that you need. Okay. And how to find those legitimate academic papers. So that's one scenario. And then there could be another scenario for your assignments where they already give you a source, for example, a textbook, and they give you probably some lecture notes or whatever. And then they ask you to go into a particular chapter and then pull out information only from those chapter and not to use any other sources to back up your claim. What's interesting is that you actually don't need to know anything that's going on in the class. Now, here's a little bit of disclaimer. Unless you are in STEM fields, engineering, or you're writing some science papers, you need to know a little bit about the topic. I had a teacher once. He was a mathematics professor. Genius. He was a genius. But that teacher said once that even if you want to cheat, you need to know what you are going to cheat at. You need to have at least some baseline information in order to be able to cheat. You understand what I'm saying? In order to be able to direct AI in the right direction, you actually need to know where you are going. If you have like fourth year assignments, some research papers are very technical and you need to have certain information in order to be able to build up on some foundation. Most of the students that I have helped, they were mostly first year and second year students. And I didn't know what the was going on in their classes. I really didn't have to know. So the beauty of using AI, or the beauty of learning how to use these AI technologies in your paper, is that in these assignments, in writing papers, it's more like figuring out and learning about the topic as you're going along, instead of learning the subject first and then writing about it later. Previously, that's what used to happen. You used to learn about the subject. You used to learn what was going on in class. gather information from the textbook, read about the information from various different scholarly sources. And once you have an understanding, have some information, then you go and write it. That's one way to do it, but it's time consuming. But the way you're going to be using AI technologies in your paper, and the process is different. And the process goes something like, you figure out about your own topic as you're moving along the paper. It's very dynamic. So it's like you are figuring out and learning about the topic yourself instead of learning about the topic or the subject first and writing about it later. As you start writing, you tend to learn about the topic. That's actually a better way to learn, and it's faster. I'm going to explain the best as I can about my process in using these AI technologies, okay, in writing better papers. I'm not a good writer, but I know how to use these technologies. Now, how I have come into being a tutor for university students and helping them with their academic papers and consulting with their academic papers is it's a different story. It started out different. I have another video for it. You can check it out. I'll link to it. I'll tell you some of the tools that are available out there and how I use those tools. So you weren't able to upload PDFs, but you were able, what I did back in the day, copy texts from PDFs and paste it into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to keep learning all of my information instead of trying to generate an answer. Because that would try to like generate an answer without even listening to me first. So I was like, okay, learn these informations first. I used to input data and information into ChatGPT and be like, okay, learn this information first. Once you understand it, reply with a yes or reply with confirm. And once I prompt you to generate an answer, then you're going to use all the previous information that I have given you in order to generate an answer instead of, trying to generate an answer as soon as I just give you an information. You know what I mean? So anyway, I had to train that, but it had gone better now these days. You can actually just upload a document. It's just so easy. You can actually upload documents straight into ChatGPT. And the new paid feature of ChatGPT, they call it a canvas. It's basically like a Word doc integrated in ChatGPT that you can actually edit your writing straight into ChatGPT and specifically direct ChatGPT into specific lines or words. It has gotten so easy. So you don't really have to know what you are writing about. You need some sort of general idea about the topic, but you actually don't need to know the specifics of the topic and the arguments that you're going to be forming. So the way is you keep writing, you keep researching about it, and then you form your argument. Actually, you don't form your argument. What happens, you keep adding information, and then you let ChatGPT or AI to form an argument, form a thesis statement based on the information that you have provided, okay? And look, if you are actually passionate about writing, then you should just do the writing yourself. If you actually want to learn writing, but if you're one of those brats who skips classes, don't go to classes and don't really care about those elective subjects, then yeah, use AI to fast track your process, to make your process way more easy. Okay? So I'll tell you what it is. All right, let's get started.